Hello everyone and welcome to my review for Ayashimon Chapter 10. Before we get into this week's review, as always I have to mention that if you haven't already, you should definitely be sure to hit that subscribe button and help us reach our goal for 2022 of hitting 5,000 subscribers. With that out of the way, let's get on to this week's review. So we're finally here, double digits, the Big 10. And I'd say this is a pretty solid chapter for such a milestone. I think that the series has gotten progressively better over the course of the last few chapters. First chapter I thought was alright, but didn't really leave that much of an impression on me. Chapter 2 is pretty good, and we got a few chapters sort of establishing more of how the world functions, what the deal is with the Ayashimon, but I was kind of worried that it was a bit too okay, a bit too average in terms of quality. But fortunately, when Dappo showed up, things started to get quite a bit better. We got rid of my biggest concern, which was that Maruo would never lose a fight and would always pretty much low to mid-diff every person he got into a battle with. So that was resolved, and we got pretty serious stakes in general. We then also got some pretty good character development on Urara's part, as we've been delving more into her character and revealing, no, she's not just a selfish, controlling person that views other people as expendable tools. There's a lot more to her than that. So we get into that for, I'd say, the first quarter of this chapter, with getting sort of an extended flashback from Urara's perspective after she had incarnated into this life that she's in right now. Her father was not even present for it. So basically her dad was not present for her own birth. And she was pretty much told throughout her entire adolescence by Hashihime that, yeah, your dad's really busy and, he's not able to see you, but I promise you that he's going to come and see you one day. And she just waited and waited for an extremely long time. Passage of time feels far slower when you've manifested into a body than it does when you're just waiting, sort of as a spiritual form. So the wait to eventually see her father, while she was hiding in isolation, effectively, felt like an eternity. And, eventually she got the news from Hashihime that her father had died, and that's where we go into the present now, where Urara's in her yokai form. She's got Maruo and Ten. She's going down to try and rescue Hashihime. However, as we should have expected, Doppo is not really intent on letting Urara get away. He's already expressed very intently that he plans on killing Urara, that she needs to die for some reason that he feels sad about. That she was abandoned, and for that reason he needs to kill her. Not really clear what that is. But he actually threatens to take out and wear his yokai mask, which would be really bad. It seems like everyone would die if he did that, because he's already the strongest character we've seen thus far by quite a lot, and this hasn't even been him unleashing his true power, not entering his true form. So presumably if he did that, he would get 10 times stronger and would just one-shot literally everybody. Now, his mask is very interesting because it's sort of this fox-shaped mask with these flame designs on it. Of course, we already know that his power is blue flames, but the mask is really fucking cool. I'm always a big fan of faceless masks, just plain white masks with no features. When you put them onto a costume, like what Doppo's wearing, like a suit and tie and a big coat, it always looks really fucking cool. Then you throw on some extra designs like that fire, and suddenly it gets even cooler. If he just kept that on the whole time, that'd be really awesome already. Now, we don't see him transform, of course. He gets interrupted by Hashihime while he's mid-transformation. But I do have to wonder, what would he have turned into? Would he have turned into some kind of kitsune or something? That's really the only fox yokai that I'm fully aware of. If any of you guys watching, any of you big Japanese mythology nerds like Neo, are aware of fox-like yokai or certain types of yokai that produce ice or steal heat. The only one I really know about is the Yuki-onna, and that's a woman. Doppo is a guy, so I don't think he would be a Yuki-onna, and I'm pretty sure those usually don't have any connection to foxes or cats. I guess it could also be a cat mask. Please be sure to let me know down in the description. But this is where we get the partial return of Hashihime's true form, which, as I mentioned a few times in the past, is probably the coolest monster design we've had in the series. Now, before we get into talking any more about that, I feel like this is a good opportunity to talk about my wonderful patrons. Special thanks to Archbear CJ2K, Neo, Tyrese Simmons, Dejon Redden, Anthony Chavez, Honey Mustard, K-God, Chris Redfield, Rat, Ryzen 4K, Artist, Mac Campaign, Wave of Manga, Chuck's Feed and Seed, Jake Sterizi, and Play Free Labs. Thank you all very much for supporting me on Patreon. I greatly appreciate it, and if you too want to get a shout out at some point during videos, or access to reviews for One Piece and The Boxer, you can always become a patron as well. There's a link to my Patreon down in the description. Now then, with that out of the way, let's get back to our regularly scheduled review. Now, Hashihime only partially transforms, it's incomplete, presumably because she's already getting damaged by Doppo's flames, and she's kind of in a rough state already, very desperate. She's probably not in the sort of mindset or even physical state to fully manifest into her yokai form, but she is trying her damnedest to hold off Doppo long enough for Urara to escape. Now, Doppo's insisting that he needs to kill Urara because she is pretty much only a hindrance to the underworld and to the yokai in general, that she wasn't hidden away by Kyo, she was thrown away. Once again, I don't know if this is him recognizing her as some kind of danger, or him trying to respect whatever he thinks Kyo's wishes were. Once again, I don't know. Now, Hashihime insists he did not throw her away. I swear it. And this particularly strikes Urara because Hashihime has insisted this for years. Every single time that Urara has wondered, did my dad abandon me? Did he throw me away? Every single time, regardless of the situation, he did not, I swear it. So the fact that she's saying it still now, even in this life or death situation, suggests that yes, this is the truth. She is not attempting to lie to me or anything. This is what you genuinely believe. This is what you would want to tell me as your dying words. So she tells her to leave. And eventually she steals herself and she runs away. As Hashihime is thinking to herself that she leaves Urara in Maruo's hands. And he seems to be conscious now. One of his eyes looks to be open, but I don't think he's really, in it right now. And she says, she's going to say that she's Chairman Kyo's precious daughter, but no, she is my precious charge. Urara is precious to her, and she wants Maruo to protect her, as she is impaled by all of these ice spikes from Doppo, and we see the money and blood falling to the ground. So, as we know, yokai are immortal. They reincarnate after 99 years, but Doppo is a bit of someone who creates a slight exception to that, and that he provides people with a fate worse than death. He gets rid of their ability to die. He leaves them in a near-death state, or an undead state, in which they just kind of suffer forever, and can't reincarnate. So it's a possibility that that could happen to Hashihime, and the fact that she would be willing to risk this happening to her for the sake of protecting Urara just goes to show how precious she is to her, how much she matters to her. So this is a very sad, rip, best girl. I've mentioned this several times. I like both of Hashihime's designs a lot. She was pretty cool. She became even better with all the information we got about her personality this chapter. So, assuming this is the end for her, at least in the state that she's in now, and it's certainly played out to be that way, rest in peace. Hopefully you don't get turned into a eternally suffering piece of art. That would suck. Now, of course, this means that Hashihime is not going to be the one training Maruo for his upcoming training arc, so we're probably going to have to introduce a new character for that. Either have some yokai person who will try to teach him yokai jutsu, or not yokai jutsu, yojutsu, or teach him how to counteract it, or maybe we could have a human who's either part of or formerly part of the Onmyo Bureau, and they could teach him how to use magic to try and fight against yokai like Doppo, because I'm going to assume Doppo is probably not the only one who's like a Logia type. There are probably other yokai where you can't really hurt them, they're kind of intangible. So that's probably going to be Maruo's big goal from here on out. The first big goal when it comes to getting stronger, find a way to hit people that cannot be hit. So we're going to have to see how that turns out. But once again, a very good chapter this week, very solid for the first double-digit chapter. Hopefully, we're going to be lasting for a while here. Hopefully we make it past the usual under 19 club for a series that get axed. As far as I understand, the series has been doing quite well. They've been giving it more pages because people like the series. I understand some people sometimes think that chapters getting like page extensions is a sign that they're going to get axed. Sometimes it's just a sign of popularity and that people want more pages in the chapters. But if it were my guess here, based on the quality of the chapters, this is not going anywhere anytime soon, and Ayashimon's going to be here to stay. So with that, that's all I've got to say for this week's review. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and click that notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. I do Ayashimon chapter reviews every week. I think we get a pretty neat chapter. If you enjoy discussing Ayashimon with other people, or you just enjoy the content I produce in this channel, I highly suggest you check out my Discord server. I have linked to that down in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys around. Take care.